Welcome to our new industry segment, The Week That Was, where we explore the top content published on whatelectricalnews.com throughout the week. Starting off from Monday, we reported that Downer EDI had won a $2 billion contract for work at Adani's Carmichael coal mine in the Queensland's Galilee Basin. Downer said it had received 2 letters of awards from Adani for the construction of mine infrastructure and mining services at the site. Construction of the mine is set to commence later this year, with first coal slated in 2017. The Carmichael project holds more than 11 billion tonnes of thermal coal and will create 10,000 jobs and hand $22 billion back to the state government in taxes and royalties. The mine, which approved in July, will produce 60 million tonnes of coal a year for the next 60 years. Following on from there, we reported on Australia's energy construction boom. As demand falls and policy uncertainty continues, a long-running boom in the building and construction of power and energy infrastructure now appears to be over. In October, participants in an Australian Industry Group Association survey said they expected the dollar value of turnover in construction work on electricity generation and gas supply throughout the country to plummet by 16.1% throughout 2015 financial year. Australian Construction Industry Forum expects the dollar value of construction work to drop from almost $17 billion in 2014 to just over $11 billion by 2018. Throughout much of the early part of the last decade, strong growth in energy demand and fears of long-run supply shortages caused power utilities to ramp up investment in poles and wires. Meanwhile, a combination of favourable policy and a general push towards more environmentally friendly forms of energy led to a massive push in the renewable energy sector. Amid uncertainty over the renewable energy target, investment in renewables dropped from around $2 billion throughout all of 2013 to a mere $238 million in the first 3 quarters of 2014. Recent forecasts from the Australian Energy Market Operator, which manages the national electricity grid, suggest that almost 20% of current installed capacity is surplus to requirements. On Tuesday, we reported on the mystery behind Lake George's missing wind turbines. Renewable energy generator Infigen Energy is adding to the mystery of Lake George near Canberra, saying a rare breakdown of one of its turbines 7 months ago, causing it to be partially disassembled, is still under investigation. One of the turbines is missing from the Capital Wind Farm, which has 67 turbines and has been operational since late 2009. The 80-metre-high turbines and their 44-metre-wide blades came under fire in 2014 from Treasurer Joe Hockey, who described them as utterly offensive and a blight on the landscape. Uncertainty over the renewable energy target has stalled billions of dollars of investment in wind turbines, but Infigen says once a turbine has been installed, its operating costs for 25-plus years are much lower than the revenue that can be achieved from selling the electricity it generates, largely because of the no-fuel costs. We also took a look at the jobs that will survive automation. It is estimated that in 10 years, around 65% of the jobs that people will be doing have not even been thought of yet. In Australia, there are reports that up to 500,000 of existing jobs could be taken over by robotics or machines run by artificial intelligence. So what are the skills that are so important? Harvard professor Howard Gardner makes the case for cultivating a disciplined mind, being someone who can bring their attention to a laser-like focus and drill down to the essence of a subject as important. In-demand workers will be able to critically assess this content and find ways to communicate it to good effect. People will need to be even better at managing the cognitive load. They will have the thinking skills to filter the deluge and find optimum solutions to problems. The bottom line, to position yourself favourably for jobs in the future, become someone who can look at problems in unorthodox ways, seeing different angles and finding workable solutions. Be a multidisciplinary, insatiably curious person who knows how to use the tools to model ideas and create prototypes. On Wednesday, we explored the migration rule revamp for 457 skilled worker visas. Under the new rules, companies would be allowed to bring employees to Australia for up to a year without applying for 457 skilled worker visas. The Department of Immigration and Border Protection is proposing a new temporary entry visa for foreign workers that would not require the candidates to pass language or skills requirements, nor would employers have to prove they cannot find a local Australian to fill the position. Fly-in, fly-out commuters, global partners or specialists who need to provide short periods of work on consultation to a company would be covered. The visa would allow for multiple entries. A short-term mobility category would replace the existing Category 400 visa, which allows skilled or specialist entrants to work for up to 6 weeks. There were 4,587 visas of this type granted when it was first offered in 2012. That jumped to more than 32,000 in 2013, with applicants concentrated in mining, manufacturing and construction. Australian Council of Trade Unions President Jed Kearney said with unemployment at a 12-year high of 6.3%, the focus should be on employing and training locals. In lighter news, Bill Gates got to try a glass of water that had been purified from human stool processed just 5 minutes earlier right before his eyes. The device, called the Omniprocessor, is a giant processing plant that purifies raw waste from sewers into clean drinking water, electricity and ash. He described it as tasting as good as any I've had out of a bottle. The Omniprocessor could be the answer to providing sanitation on a large scale in places where there aren't proper sewage systems. On Thursday, we reported on the crackdown on gangs from the Newman government. As of the 2nd of July 2015, all bikies and bikie associates will be banned from Queensland building sites. The controversial ban affecting electricians, builders and plumbers was postponed for 12 months last July following a call from Extension from a trade union inquiry into the matter. The Electrical Trades Union has been one of the most outspoken unions opposed to these new laws, arguing that innocent people with no criminal records will be unfairly discriminated against just because of the people they hang around with. The ETU State Secretary Peter Simpson said that at least 50 of his union's members could be affected by the unjust licensing requirements. Mr Simpson said the union had planned to launch a High Court challenge to the changes, but had received legal advice which stated they would have to wait until a member lost their job before they could do so. The number of tradies potentially affected by this crackdown is not yet known. In Western Australia, an investigation has been launched into fracking site damage after gas leak claims. A valve at a fracking gas well in Western Australia's north came to be damaged after activists claimed dangerous levels of gas were leaking at the site. The drilling well was previously fracked in 2010 by Buru Energy. The Department of Mines and Petroleum sent safety inspectors to the site after the footage emerged, but they did not detect leaking gas. We now finish the week off with our top stories from Friday. Rio Tinto has been forced to reveal takeover defence strategies. Rio Tinto, which is currently being stalked by smaller rival Glencore, is being forced to divulge confidential takeover defence strategies used when it was pursued by BHP Billiton as it presses a case of alleged conspiracy and theft over a valuable Guinea iron ore deposit. The documents could include some prepared by Chief Executive Sam Walsh, his predecessor Tom Albanese and other high-profile insiders, following requests from Discovery by Vale. The order comes as Brazilian rival Vale tries to counter Rio's claims of alleged conspiracy and theft, saying it was strung along by Rio in talks about assets as part of a defence of BHP's failed $160 billion hostile takeover attempt of Rio in 2007. It comes with Rio again in takeover defence mode, having knocked back an approach by billionaire chief of Anglo-Swiss miner Glencore, Ivan Glassenberg, who is expected to resume the hunt for Rio in April when a 6-month British takeover ban on potential deal ends. A Glencore-Rio tie-up would create the world's biggest mining company, a $180 billion Goliath, with leading positions in iron ore, copper, nickel, zinc and coal, as well as a trading room floor and logistical network. Another top story from Friday was the recent statistics from SafeWork Australia that show a total of 185 Australians died while at work in 2014. The construction industry recorded the third highest number of workplace fatalities, being at 29, while the mining industry with 15 workplace fatalities was ranked in fourth place. Male workers had a fatality rate of 2.83, while female workers had a rate of 0.8. And that's it from our week that was. Thank you.